You may not be familiar with the word acrolein, but it's a chemical in our air coming from surprisingly common sources. A recent report on air quality in one area of Prince George shows a new concern. It's a picturesque neighborhood, the Miller Addition. It's also one of the lowest lying areas of Prince George, which prompted a 2-year BC environment study on air quality in the area.
What they did was they worked with a number of residents in a neighborhood in Prince George to identify significant odor events in that community and then link that to a monitoring program that would analyze what type of compounds are in the airshed.
The findings of the study have now been made public, and while for the most part it's positive news, there's one new concern.
What they found of the 194 compounds that were measured is only one of them was of a level of concern, and that's a compound called acrolein.
According to Northern Health, acrolein can be irritating to the eye, nose and throat. Over the long term, exposure to the compound has been associated with lung damage. However, the BC Environment Report says the concentrations found here were not likely to cause health problems.
We don't currently have a standard or an objective for acrolein in British Columbia. So we looked at the California standard, which is a very stringent standard. And so there was an exceedance of that standard, just a marginal exceedance.
So where does the compound come from?
It comes from a number of sources. It comes from natural and human sources. So on the human side, it's a byproduct of vehicle emissions, particularly diesel. Diesel has a higher component of acrolein associated with its emissions than traditional gasoline. And it comes from things like pulp and paper manufacturing, oil refining.
But Terry Roberts says it can also come from things as common as cooking oil. Another common culprit is cigarette and marijuana smoke.
That tends to be where a significant portion of the literature is focused on kind of the role of cigarette smoke and the connection with acrolein.
Now that we know this compound is higher in the area, officials say we can move forward.
Pulp mills was named as one of the sources, and I think it's important to acknowledge that locally industry has invested significant dollars in trying to mitigate those kinds of issues. So I think hand in hand, government and the emitters, we can make a difference.